Hello there, and welcome to another bonus episode of the Green Living Chat podcast brought to you by Kamath Solutions. I'm your host, David ewusimensah, and on today's bonus episode is a bit of my conversation with Kyeremanteng, who is an environment risk lead at Canal and River Trust in the UK. In the previous episode, we addressed certain environmental challenges within Ghana and some of the important strategies that we can adapt as mitigation and solutions to these challenges. If you haven't checked this episode out yet, please do check this episode out, which is already available on all podcast platforms just by typing Green Living Chat on Apple or any other platform where you get your podcasts, and this will be available for your hearing. In this bonus episode, we talk about what students should know about the industry. Philip shares a little bit of his story of how he got to where he is right now and the strong decisions he had to take that added up to where he is. I believe that these are important things that every student needs to know, which is very important for every decision that we make as students who are aspiring to be in the industry in the future. But before we get into this short discussion, we have already told you that the Green Living Chats podcast Season 2 is coming to an end. And so in a couple of weeks, we will be bringing a recap of the whole season and the interesting conversations that we've had. And we would like to do this with you, our listeners. So why don't you shoot us an audio message or a word by email to glcpodcast@ewusimensah.david.com or info@ewusimensah.david.com and tell us what you loved about this particular season and some of the things that you would like to see in the next season, because hey, we are building this community together with you. So tell us what was interesting to you on this particular season and tell us how this podcast has helped you, and we will read these messages out in the recap episode. So let's get into this episode with Kyeremanteng. Thank you. I really like how your path has been so connected, and always on the podcast, I like to try and encourage my listeners or people who are listening that there are certain things that you have to consider. Even it doesn't matter the path where you are. We have, say, about 60% of our listeners being in the age between 18 and about early 30s, right? And a lot of people within this age range are the people who are now trying to get into their career. So I realized that right from secondary school, you had these thoughts of the things that you were very interested in. And it looks like following that path till you finished your master's, you were continuously going towards that goal. Can you educate someone? What are some of the things that growing up you looked around and helped you to choose maybe the particular courses or probably the particular internships or the particular job applications that you did? Because I think this is very helpful along the way, especially those in the environmental sustainability industry.
Thank you for the question, David, because I really like to engage with the youth and I really like to engage with MSc and PhD students like yourself and try to help them to understand that the academic world is totally different from the industrial world. When I was in the university, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, as I said earlier, I did agricultural science. And when I came to the UK, I realized it's like a very big environment for me and a lot of opportunity to explore. So I took my time to study the environment, especially the opportunities available for me. And I didn't want to continue with the agricultural science profession because of the exposure that I had. So I was looking at the industry, what can really link to my first degree if I don't want to go into the agricultural science, and what are the opportunities there for me. So I realized, okay, fine, the environment is connected to agriculture in some way, or even or they're all under the same umbrella. So that's where the first decision came from. And when I was also working in that industry, I got understanding of how the industry operates. And if I want to get a job in the industry, what are the skills that I need? What are the experience that I need? What are the qualifications that I need? So after Cranfield University, what I did was the thesis that I was working on with my professor, I realized we couldn't complete it. There were further studies to be done. So I proposed to her that, okay, fine, if we can continue or if I can support her with any research work at all, at least to get something on my CV. That was what I proposed to her. So sometimes it's very good that you have to be proactive. You don't wait for the opportunity to come to you. You have to go for it. And thankfully, she accepted it. And I was working with her for a while. And my thesis was to develop a waste management model for microalgae, growing microalgae in raceway pond. And the whole project was to develop biofuel from microalgae for jet engines. And I was looking at the life cycle process, how it's going to impact the environment, and how we are going to manage the waste that will come out of the whole process. That was the project. It was quite interesting project.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Yes. Unfortunately, I also got an opportunity to do placement for an energy company. And I was there for, I think, about 8 months. I learned a lot, office ethics, how to write emails, how to attend meetings, how to do presentations. These are all soft skills that is very, very important that people don't really take note of. It's very, very important, David. So I learned all those stuff and it prepared me for my first paid job. That's Coventry City Council. So when I went for the interview, I was able to use all the skills that I've acquired from university, placement, voluntary jobs that I did. And I was able to demonstrate those skills to the employer that if they give me the opportunity, I'll be able to do the job. And sometimes it's not only about the skills and the experience that you acquire on jobs. Transferable skills are also very important. Like what me and you we are doing now is engagement. You are engaging, communicating, sharing ideas, technical ideas. Most of the time, people forget that those are also important skills that you can apply. Yes, when you are going for job interviews. And what helped me a lot was I was able to put all this down, make notes of all my journey, and I was constantly reading to refreshing through. And proud to Coventry City Council experience, I had loads of interviews, and most of the interviews, when I go for the interview, I don't get a job. First thing, if I get an email or a phone call from them that, oh, sorry, Philip, so you didn't get a job. First thing I would do is ask for a detailed feedback. And based on the feedback they will give me, I will work on it. This is how we're expecting you to answer the question, etc. And I will take time, write notes, go through and learn. It helped me a lot. So about 3 interviews helped me a lot because I was able to understand the set of skills that the employer will be looking at.
Was looking for, yeah.
Exactly. Your behavior, a whole lot of things. It prepared me a lot. But these are some of the things that people don't really take note of. They think, okay, fine. After acquiring the university degree, they are entitled for a job. They are entitled to be recruited by somebody. It's never true. The certificate is more like a platform to help you get to the industry. But there are other elements that you have to also look at. It's very, very, very important. So my advice to all students out there, one, the assignment that you are doing, the group work that you are doing, the presentation that you are doing, start to record all of them. These are all skills that you need, that the employers will be looking at. Even if you don't get opportunity to do placements or voluntary opportunities, the engagement, the exercises that you've been doing on the course at school, start to record all of them. They are all transferable skills that if we're able to communicate them very well during interviews, most of the employers will look at your attitude, especially I can do attitude, and then sometimes they will look at, okay, fine, this guy has not got the practical experience from the industry, but based on this and that the person has been able to demonstrate, let's give him the opportunity. It happens all the time. So these are some of the advice I would give to potential students who are looking to get to the industry.
This should be very useful and very refreshing to anyone who is listening. And it's really at that sport and where the person needs to move to the next step. I think we should actually sit down and make a whole podcast episode on these kind of things because really it's very important and it's really some things that people really need to move on in their career. Lots of people go and have to divert even after a master or even after like a second master or something like that just because they couldn't get the path right. I think we should plan on doing something like that to be very, very educative.
Yes, it's very true because what I've realized is, David, let's assume you studied chemistry as your first degree, and after the degree, you don't have any industrial experience with a chemistry degree and you jump to read probably MBA or to read probably environmental science or project management. One, your chemistry degree and the gap and the masters. How do you bridge the gap? These are some of the mistakes that most students do. And they feel they are entitled for a job. It doesn't work like that. What I've realized since I came to the UK, most of the native year after a university qualification, they will try to get a job and learn on the job. And based on the job experience and the interest that they will develop an interest in a specific area, then they will pursue a master's and a PhD in that area. Or sometimes the company might need certain set of skills and they will sponsor you to do your master's and sometimes to your PhD. But most of us from Africa, first degree, no practical experience, no professional experience, they will jump on to do a master's degree that is totally different from their first degree. And they expect to get a job. It doesn't work like that. And even if your first degree and your master's linked or are very close, still you need to demonstrate some skills and experience. So if you think you can't get a job, it's better, okay, fine, first degree, national service, or whatever you've done in between. Don't create a huge gap, then you jump onto your master's or even to a PhD. That will prepare you a lot. You will develop a lot of skills that will prepare you for the job market rather than leaving a huge gap. You'll be doing unprofessional jobs or doing so many things and you jump onto a master's degree, totally different from what you study at the first degree and you expect to get a job after. It doesn't work like that.
It's true. I think that we really should plan a separate episode on this because it's a very important issue to touch. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. And hey, the recap episode is coming, and a reminder, send us your voice recording or word by email at glcpodcast@ewusimensah.solutions or info@ewusimensah.solutions.com, and we will read these messages out in the recap episode. See you on the recap episode, and remember, live green.